Life has a way of surprising us. One moment, you're confidently following a well-planned path, and the next, an unexpected twist throws everything into question. Have you ever felt like you were suddenly standing at a crossroads, far from your envisioned life? These moments of upheaval often force us to pause, reflect, and seek clarity amidst the chaos. A close friend of mine experienced this firsthand. Once a top-performing student at a prestigious school, he had his sights set on becoming an electrical engineer. But life had other plans. A sudden illness disrupted his education, keeping him from entering his dream university. When he regained his health, he paused to reassess his path instead of blindly returning to his original plan. This time, he decided to follow a long-ignored passion, graphic design. Enrolling in a course, he discovered a talent that had always been there but never explored. Today, he is not only thriving in his career but also living a life truer to himself. Reinvention is not about starting over. It's about embracing who you are and finding new ways to grow. In this video, we'll explore 10 Stoic habits that can help you transform your life in 2025. These timeless practices are designed to help you find clarity, build resilience, and step into a better version of yourself. If you or someone you know feels stuck or uncertain about the future, share this video with them. And as you watch, reflect on your own story. Have you found a method that works for you? Let us know in the comments. It might just inspire someone else. Stay tuned, because what comes next might just change your life. 1. Embrace self-awareness. Understanding yourself is the cornerstone of true growth. It's easy to move through life reacting to situations without pausing to consider why we feel or act a certain way. Yet without this pause, this moment of introspection, we risk being driven by impulses or external expectations, rather than our genuine desires. How often have you made choices based on what others expect, only to feel disconnected from the outcome? Embracing self-awareness means taking the time to identify your strengths, weaknesses, and the values that truly matter to you. The Stoics placed immense importance on self-awareness, believing it to be the foundation of a virtuous life. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized that knowing oneself is essential for living with integrity and purpose. When we fail to understand our emotions, they control us. But when we take the time to observe them, we can guide our actions with reason and clarity. This idea brings us back to my friend. After recovering from his illness, he faced a critical moment of self-awareness. For years, he believed his goal of becoming an engineer was his own. But in truth, it was shaped by societal expectations and family ambitions. With time to reflect, he realized it wasn't what he truly wanted. Instead of returning to his previous path, he explored a forgotten passion, graphic design. This pivot wasn't easy, but it allowed him to align his choices with his authentic self. He wasn't abandoning a dream, he was finding his own. This same principle applies to many aspects of our lives. Take emotions, for instance. A man might often feel frustration at work, snapping at colleagues or family. Without self-awareness, he may never realize that this frustration stems from unmet personal needs or unclear boundaries. By pausing and reflecting, he could identify the root cause of his feelings and respond more thoughtfully. Or consider values. Many people live according to what they believe they should value, status, wealth, or approval, without questioning if these align with who they are. By identifying their core values, they can make decisions that resonate deeply and authentically. To cultivate self-awareness, the Stoics advised consistent introspection. Epictetus urged individuals to examine their daily actions, asking, "What did I do well? What could I have done better?" Simple habits like journaling for 10 minutes each day can help you reconnect with your thoughts and emotions. Write about what moved you, what challenged you, and what made you feel alive. Over time, this practice sharpens your ability to recognize patterns and align your actions with your true self. True self-awareness isn't about self-criticism. It's about curiosity, understanding what drives you and having the courage to course-correct when necessary. By embracing this habit, you unlock the ability to navigate life with purpose, clarity, and resilience. 2. Define your purpose. Life feels aimless without a clear sense of direction. Many of us drift from one task to the next, fulfilling obligations and chasing goals that may not even be our own. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, why am I pursuing this? Purpose isn't just about achieving something big. It's about having a compass to guide you, a reason that infuses meaning into your actions. Without it, even success can feel hollow, leaving you wondering if you're truly living or merely existing. For the Stoics, purpose was not optional. It was essential. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on his role and duty, reminding himself to act in alignment with the greater good. Purpose gives structure to our choices and steadies us in times of doubt or difficulty. It transforms ordinary actions into steps towards something significant, no matter how small those steps may seem. This idea is best illustrated through my friend's journey. When his illness derailed his plans, he initially felt lost, as if his future had vanished. But stepping back, he realized that his earlier goal, to become an engineer, was more about meeting others' expectations than fulfilling his desires. Through reflection, he uncovered a passion he'd long ignored: creativity and design. Enrolling in a graphic design course gave him not just a new career path, but a renewed sense of purpose. Each project he worked on felt meaningful, as it connected to something he truly valued. Finding purpose is deeply personal, but its impact is universal. Imagine a professional stuck in a repetitive, unfulfilling job. Without purpose, work becomes a burden, and motivation dwindles. But when that same individual ties their efforts to a greater goal, providing for their family or contributing to a meaningful cause, their actions gain significance. Or consider someone navigating a difficult relationship. Without understanding what they value in connections, trust, kindness, or mutual respect, they might feel trapped or directionless. Clarity of purpose helps them decide whether to rebuild or move forward. The Stoics teach that purpose isn't something bestowed upon you, it's something you define through introspection. Begin by asking yourself what truly matters. What are the core values that resonate with your heart? Write them down. Reflect on how your daily actions align with these values and adjust where needed. A mission statement, clear and personal, can help anchor your decisions and actions. Living with purpose doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means life becomes meaningful. Each step you take, even through challenges, leads you closer to a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. Purpose provides resilience in adversity and clarity in uncertainty. It's not about perfection, but progress toward a life that aligns with who you truly are. 3. Master your inner world. Our thoughts shape our reality. Yet many of us allow negative patterns to take root, turning small doubts into towering fears. Have you ever caught yourself spiraling into worst-case scenarios or letting a fleeting mistake ruin your entire day? These moments highlight the importance of mastering your inner world, learning to control not only your thoughts but also your emotions. When left unchecked, negativity clouds our judgment and steals our peace. Mastery over your mind, however, opens the door to resilience and calm, even in life's most chaotic moments. The Stoics understood this intimately. Epictetus famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." They believed that while external events remain beyond our control, our interpretations of those events are entirely within our power. This distinction is what gives us the strength to transform challenges into opportunities and failures into lessons. Consider the story of a young athlete whose dream was to make it to the National League. During an important match, a mistake on his part caused his team to lose. He spent weeks consumed by self-blame and shame, letting that single event define his abilities. But through mindfulness and reflection, he began to shift his perspective. Instead of focusing on the loss, he dissected the game, identified areas for improvement, and channeled his energy into training harder. That mental shift not only rebuilt his confidence, but eventually led him to success in future matches. This principle also applies to managing emotions. Imagine a man caught in a heated argument with a colleague. If he lets anger take over, he might say something damaging, jeopardizing their professional relationship. But if he pauses, takes a deep breath, and reassesses the situation, he can respond thoughtfully, preserving both respect and resolution. Likewise, confidence is built not by avoiding fear, but by facing it. A business owner unsure about launching a risky new product might find clarity not in overthinking, but in taking small steps, researching the market, seeking feedback, and testing the idea incrementally. To master your inner world, start with awareness. When a negative thought arises, don't suppress it. Observe it. Question its validity. Is it rooted in fact, or is it a product of fear? Replace unhelpful thoughts with ones that empower you. For emotions, practice mindfulness. When anger or anxiety strikes, ground yourself in the present moment. Feel your breath, notice your surroundings, and let the emotion pass without reacting impulsively. True strength comes from this control over your inner world. By managing thoughts and emotions, you reclaim your power. You stop being a passive recipient of life's challenges and instead become an active participant in shaping your outcomes. The mind is your strongest ally. Train it wisely, and it will guide you toward peace and purpose. 4. Optimize your daily life. Life often feels chaotic when every decision, big or small, demands attention. From choosing what to wear to deciding on major career moves, the endless stream of choices can leave us drained and unfocused. Have you ever ended a day feeling mentally exhausted, not because of hard work, but because of the sheer volume of decisions you had to make? This is decision fatigue, a silent thief that drains your energy and clouds your clarity. The solution lies in crafting a thoughtful daily routine. A structure that reduces unnecessary choices, aligns with your energy levels, and dedicates time to what truly matters. The Stoics emphasized the importance of discipline and order in daily life. Seneca often reflected on how managing time wisely was essential for a meaningful existence. To the Stoics, routines weren't restrictive, they were liberating. A structured life allowed them to focus on what mattered: virtue, wisdom, and purposeful actions, without being distracted by trivial concerns. Imagine a young entrepreneur juggling multiple roles: business strategy, client management, and family life. Initially, his days were chaotic, filled with back-to-back meetings and endless to-do lists. He felt like he was always running, but never getting anywhere. By implementing a morning routine focused on reflection, planning, and prioritizing, he transformed his life. Each morning, he spent 15 minutes reviewing his goals and aligning them with his core values. This simple practice helped him focus on high-priority tasks, making his day less stressful and far more productive. This approach works for anyone. Picture a teacher struggling to find time for personal growth amidst a demanding schedule. Without a clear routine, they might waste valuable time scrolling through social media after work, feeling unproductive and drained. But by intentionally setting aside 30 minutes each evening for reading or learning, they can use that time to enrich their mind and reconnect with their passions. Similarly, a retiree who feels aimless can find purpose by structuring their day around activities that align with their values, whether volunteering, exercising, or exploring hobbies. Creating an effective routine starts with understanding your energy cycles. Are you most productive in the morning or late at night? Schedule high-focus tasks during those peak hours and reserve less demanding activities for low-energy periods. Eliminate unnecessary decisions by automating small tasks like planning meals or setting out clothes the night before. Finally, build time for meaningful activities, those that align with your goals and nurture your spirit. The Stoics believed that a disciplined life leads to freedom. By optimizing your daily life, you free yourself from the chaos of endless choices and distractions, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. Routine isn't about control, it's about intention. It's about crafting a life that reflects your values and brings clarity, peace, and purpose to your days. 5. Cultivate self-discipline. Discipline isn't about rigid control, it's about freedom. The freedom to pursue your goals without being held back by fleeting distractions or temporary discomforts. How many times have you set a goal, only to abandon it halfway because it felt too overwhelming or progress seemed too slow? The key to achieving anything worthwhile lies in breaking it down into manageable steps, committing to small daily actions, and staying patient through the process. The Stoics regarded self-discipline as a cornerstone of a virtuous life. Epictetus emphasized that mastery over oneself is the greatest power one can possess. To the Stoics, discipline wasn't just about achieving external success. It was about cultivating inner strength and resilience. They believed that by practicing consistent, deliberate effort, we could shape our character and rise above fleeting impulses. A close friend of mine once decided to learn a new language. Initially, his enthusiasm was sky high. He downloaded apps, bought books, and envisioned himself speaking fluently within months. But as weeks went by, his excitement waned, and progress felt slow. Frustration crept in, and he nearly gave up. Realizing he needed a different approach, he started dedicating just 30 minutes each day to studying vocabulary and grammar. It wasn't glamorous or groundbreaking, but it was consistent. Over time, the habit became second nature, and months later, he could hold basic conversations in the language he once struggled with. This approach highlights three critical ideas. First, setting small, specific goals makes daunting tasks manageable. A marathon begins with a single step, and a complex skill starts with foundational knowledge. Second, daily habits, no matter how small, compound into significant achievements over time. Finally, perseverance is key. Challenges will arise, but staying the course despite setbacks builds resilience and ensures progress. Think about your own goals. Perhaps you want to improve your physical fitness, but the idea of a complete lifestyle overhaul feels intimidating. Instead, commit to walking for 10 minutes daily. Or maybe you aspire to start a new career but feel overwhelmed by the learning curve. Begin by dedicating 15 minutes a day to studying the basics. By breaking goals into achievable steps, you maintain momentum and motivation. The Stoics remind us that self-discipline is a muscle that grows stronger with practice. To cultivate it, start by identifying one small, meaningful habit aligned with your goals. Stay consistent, even on days when motivation feels distant. Over time, discipline transforms into second nature, freeing you from the frustration of procrastination and inconsistency. When you build self-discipline, you create a path to success that is steady, reliable, and fulfilling. Each small step reinforces your inner strength, proving that greatness doesn't come from dramatic leaps, but from the quiet persistence of showing up every day. 6. Embrace challenges. Challenges are an inevitable part of life, yet many of us instinctively avoid them. We stick to routines, play it safe, and cling to our comfort zones because it feels secure. But have you ever wondered how much growth you've left on the table by avoiding discomfort? What if the very difficulties you shy away from could be the key to unlocking your potential? Embracing challenges isn't about seeking out hardship for its own sake. It's about recognizing that growth often lies on the other side of the struggle. The Stoics believed that challenges were not obstacles but opportunities. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This principle teaches us that adversity, rather than hindering us, is the path through which we develop resilience and strength. To the Stoics, every hardship was a chance to test and refine their character, pushing them closer to living a virtuous life. I once knew a man who wanted to run his first marathon. He wasn't an athlete, and the thought of running 26 miles seemed impossible. Initially, he hesitated. What if he failed? What if he injured himself? These doubts nearly stopped him before he even began. But instead of letting fear dictate his actions, he took a different approach. He started small, running just half a mile each day. Gradually, he built his endurance, stepping out of his comfort zone with every additional mile. On race day, he crossed the finish line, not just achieving a physical milestone, but transforming his mindset. He learned that discomfort is temporary, but the strength gained from facing it lasts forever. This perspective applies to every aspect of life. Imagine someone hesitant to leave a stable but unfulfilling job. The uncertainty of change can be paralyzing, but by taking deliberate steps, researching new roles, updating their skills, and networking, they can turn that fear into progress. Similarly, consider a student struggling with public speaking. Each failed attempt might feel like a setback, but every time they stand up and try again, they build confidence, learning from their mistakes. The Stoics taught that failure isn't something to be feared. It's something to be embraced as a teacher. When you fail, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Each misstep reveals weaknesses to address and strengths to leverage. Start by reframing failure as feedback. It's not the end of the journey, but a guide for the next step. Push yourself to try new things, even when they scare you. The discomfort you feel is a sign that you're growing. Challenges are the forge where resilience and character are shaped. By stepping out of your comfort zone and learning from failure, you build the strength to face life with clarity and courage. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, What stands in the way doesn't stop us. It becomes the way forward. The next time you encounter a challenge, lean into it. The growth it brings will far outweigh the struggle it requires. 7. Pursue consistent progress. Many of us focus so intently on the destination that we overlook the significance of the journey. We fixate on the end goal, expecting instant results, only to feel frustrated when progress seems slow or invisible. But what if the secret to achieving greatness isn't in grand leaps, but in steady, consistent steps? When you shift your focus to the process rather than the outcome, you cultivate resilience and patience, transforming small actions into lasting change. The Stoics champion the idea of persistence and incremental growth. Seneca emphasized that, by endurance we conquer, reflecting the belief that consistent effort, no matter how small, leads to mastery and fulfillment. For the Stoics, progress was a daily practice, a commitment to improvement, not perfection. A close friend of mine wanted to lose weight. Like many, he began with enthusiasm, setting lofty goals and expecting quick results. But as weeks passed and the scale didn't budge as much as he hoped, discouragement set in. Instead of giving up, he changed his mindset. He started focusing on the process, regular exercise, and healthy eating, rather than obsessing over the numbers. Slowly but surely, he began to notice other changes: increased energy, better sleep, and a sense of pride in his routine. Over time, his persistence paid off, and he achieved sustainable weight loss. This approach applies to more than just fitness. Picture someone learning to play an instrument. They may feel frustrated at first when their fingers stumble over chords or their rhythm falters. But by practicing a little each day and celebrating the ability to play even one song well, they build skill and confidence. Or imagine a writer struggling with their first novel. Instead of aiming for a perfect draft, they could commit to writing 200 words daily. Over weeks and months, those small efforts accumulate into a completed manuscript. Focusing on the process helps you stay grounded and motivated. By celebrating small victories, whether it's running an extra minute, mastering a difficult chord, or completing a chapter, you build momentum and reaffirm your commitment to growth. Patience becomes your ally as you recognize that progress is not always linear, but is always possible with persistence. The Stoics remind us that true progress lies in the effort, not just the outcome. Epictetus taught that the journey toward mastery is what strengthens character and builds resilience. To cultivate this mindset, start by identifying a goal and breaking it into smaller, manageable actions. Dedicate time each day to these actions, no matter how small, and track your progress. Reflect not only on what you've achieved, but also on how the process has shaped you. When you embrace consistent progress, you learn to value the journey as much as the destination. Each small step reinforces your growth and brings you closer to your goals, not through shortcuts, but through steady, deliberate effort. Progress, like virtue, is a habit. By pursuing it daily, you transform not just what you do, but who you are. 8. Develop resilience. Life's greatest challenges often arrive uninvited, shaking the foundation of everything we believe to be secure. Have you ever faced a situation that felt like the end of the road? A sudden loss, a failure, or an unexpected setback? In these moments, resilience becomes more than just a concept. It's the strength to face reality, learn from it, and seek support to move forward. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about navigating it with courage and wisdom. The Stoics understood the inevitability of hardship and the necessity of resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." For the Stoics, resilience began with accepting what could not be changed and focusing energy on what could. They believed that hardships were not punishments, but opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. Years ago, I experienced this firsthand when I lost my job unexpectedly. The initial shock was overwhelming, leaving me feeling isolated and unsure of the future. At first, I withdrew, unwilling to share my struggles with others. But as days turned into weeks, I realized that hiding my pain wasn't helping. I began opening up to family and friends who offered support and perspective. Their encouragement helped me take the first steps forward. Seeking guidance from a career counselor, I reevaluated my skills and explored new opportunities. What started as a period of despair transformed into one of growth and discovery. This process is universal. Imagine a parent navigating the challenges of raising a child with special needs. Accepting the reality of their situation is the first step toward finding resources and strategies to support their family. Or, think of someone recovering from a failed business venture. Instead of seeing the failure as an endpoint, they can analyze what went wrong, seek mentorship, and rebuild with newfound clarity. Resilience begins with acceptance. Denial only prolongs suffering, while acknowledging the truth allows us to focus on what can be done. From there, reflection turns setbacks into lessons. Each challenge carries valuable insights, whether it's about our decisions, our priorities, or our strengths. Finally, seeking support is crucial. Stoic philosophy doesn't advocate isolation, but encourages connection with others who can offer wisdom, encouragement, or practical help. To cultivate resilience in your life, start by embracing difficulties as part of the human experience. When facing hardship, pause to reflect. What is within my control? What can I learn from this? Share your struggles with trusted friends, family, or professionals, knowing that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. The Stoics remind us that resilience is not about never falling. It's about rising every time we do. By accepting reality, learning from challenges, and leaning on support, you turn moments of adversity into stepping stones for personal growth. In the process, you build a life rooted in strength, understanding, and purpose, ready to weather whatever storms may come. 9. Build your support system. Human beings are not meant to navigate life's challenges alone. Yet, how often do we find ourselves struggling in isolation, believing that asking for help is a sign of weakness? Building a strong support system isn't just about finding people to lean on during hard times. It's about connecting with like-minded individuals who inspire, challenge, and uplift us. True growth happens not in isolation, but in collaboration with those who share our values and aspirations. The Stoics emphasize the importance of meaningful relationships. Seneca often spoke about the value of friendship, highlighting that a virtuous life includes mutual support and shared wisdom. For the Stoics, surrounding oneself with individuals of character wasn't just practical. It was essential for leading a fulfilling life. A support system, they believed, wasn't merely about receiving help, but also about giving it, creating a dynamic of trust and shared growth. I once knew someone who dreamed of starting his own business, but felt overwhelmed and isolated by the challenges ahead. He often doubted his abilities and struggled to find the motivation to continue. Everything changed when he joined a local startup group. In this space, he met others who shared his passion for entrepreneurship. They exchanged ideas, shared failures, and celebrated successes. Through these connections, he no longer felt alone. Their shared experiences gave him strength, and their encouragement fueled his determination to pursue his dreams. This principle extends beyond entrepreneurship. Imagine a student struggling with the pressures of academics. By joining a study group, they gain not only accountability, but also a sense of camaraderie. Or think of someone navigating the complexities of parenting. Connecting with a community of parents allows them to share advice, empathize with each other's struggles, and build confidence in their abilities. To create a support system, the first step is to find like-minded individuals. Seek out communities, whether local groups, online forums, or professional networks where people share your passions and values. Building these relationships requires effort, taking the time to listen, engage, and show genuine interest in others. Over time, these connections deepen, forming a foundation of trust and mutual understanding. Equally important is learning to give and receive. Stoic philosophy teaches us to extend our support to others freely, not for recognition, but because it's the right thing to do. At the same time, we must be humble enough to accept help when needed. This balance of giving and receiving creates a dynamic of mutual empowerment, strengthening the bonds within your network. A strong support system is more than a safety net. It's a wellspring of motivation and wisdom. It reminds us that we are not alone, and that growth is a shared journey. By surrounding yourself with people who inspire and uplift you, you create an environment where success, resilience, and purpose can flourish. In the words of the Stoics, true strength lies in the relationships we build and the ways we lift each other higher. 10. Embrace lifelong learning. Life is ever-changing, and those who adapt thrive. But adaptation requires more than resilience. It demands continuous learning. Have you ever felt stuck in a routine, as though the world around you is moving forward while you remain stagnant? Lifelong learning is the key to breaking free from that feeling. It keeps your mind sharp, opens doors to new opportunities, and helps you navigate the uncertainties of life with confidence. The Stoics were champions of self-improvement and intellectual growth. Seneca believed that we should always be adding to our understanding, arguing that knowledge builds strength and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on his learning journey, using the lessons of others to refine his thoughts and actions. To the Stoics, learning was not just an activity but a duty, a way to align oneself with the virtues of curiosity and growth. I once met someone who decided to start learning about business in his late 40s, not because it was easy, but because he wanted to challenge himself. At first, the concepts felt foreign, and progress was slow, but he approached it step by step, dedicating just an hour each day to studying business principles, market trends, and financial strategies. Over time, the language of business became familiar. His perseverance not only opened doors to entrepreneurial opportunities, but also reignited his belief in his ability to master new skills at any age. The power of continuous learning can be seen in everyday life. Think of a teacher striving to keep up with new technologies in education. Instead of resisting change, they embrace it, attending workshops and experimenting with innovative tools to better connect with students. Or consider a retiree taking up photography to document life's beauty. Learning a new skill enriches their days and keeps their mind active, fostering a sense of purpose. To embrace lifelong learning, start with curiosity. Ask yourself what sparks your interest. It doesn't have to be tied to your career. It could be as simple as learning to cook a new cuisine or understanding a historical period you've always wondered about. Dedicate just a small amount of time each day to this pursuit, whether it's through reading, watching videos, or hands-on practice. The Stoics teach us that learning is not about accumulating knowledge for its own sake, but about applying it to improve ourselves and those around us. Epictetus advised, "A man can't learn what he thinks he already knows." This humility is crucial. Approach learning with an open mind. Be willing to unlearn what no longer serves you and absorb insights that broaden your perspective. Lifelong learning isn't just a habit, it's a mindset. By committing to it, you remain adaptable, curious, and engaged with the world. You prepare yourself for the unexpected, finding joy in growth rather than fearing change. In the end, every new skill, every book read, and every lesson learned becomes a tool for navigating life's complexities with wisdom and grace. Life is not about waiting for ideal circumstances, but about shaping yourself to thrive in any situation. The Stoic habits we've explored today are not quick fixes or fleeting resolutions. They are timeless principles that require daily practice, steps toward becoming a person of resilience, wisdom, and purpose. From embracing self-awareness to mastering your inner world, from cultivating discipline to surrounding yourself with the right people, these habits are tools to reinvent yourself and align with your true potential. They remind us that growth is a journey built on small, consistent actions rather than dramatic leaps. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Each day offers a chance to practice these habits. Begin with something small. Dedicate 10 minutes to journaling. Seek out like-minded individuals, or take the first step toward a goal that matters to you. By incorporating these habits into your life, you'll discover that change doesn't have to feel overwhelming. It can be intentional, steady, and deeply rewarding. I encourage you to reflect on what you've learned here and consider how these principles apply to your life. Which habit will you start practicing today? Remember, transformation happens not in one grand moment, but in the quiet persistence of showing up each day. Share your story in the comments below. Have you already applied Stoic habits in your life? Or are you ready to take that first step now? Your experiences and insights may inspire someone else on their journey. Together, we can create a community of growth, support, and shared wisdom. Let this be the beginning of a transformative year for you, shaped by the strength and clarity of Stoic philosophy. One day you glanced at the mirror. Tired eyes, a lifeless face, and a haunting question echoed in your mind. Why am I living like this? What do I really want? That moment of clarity was enough to stir something within you, a realization that things needed to change. It wasn't about fixing everything outside. It was about finding strength and purpose from within. That's where the journey to build a resilient inner self begins. I used to live for everyone else's expectations, always striving to please those around me. The decisions I made, what I did, where I went, even the food I ate, weren't my own. Let's go where you like, I'd say to friends, never asking myself, what do I like? Over time, the fatigue and emptiness consumed me. But here's what I realized. The pressure didn't come from others, it came from forgetting myself entirely. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Today's video is your guide to rediscovering your true self, using timeless Stoic wisdom that's as relevant now as it was centuries ago. We'll explore practical steps to build resilience, find purpose, and navigate life's challenges with clarity and strength. Stay until the end, because the strategies we'll uncover could change the way you see yourself and the world. And if you found your way back to yourself or have insights that worked for you, share them in the comments. Your story might be the spark someone else needs to transform their life. 1. Building a strong inner self. A strong inner self is the cornerstone of resilience. Without it, we are like a house built on shifting sand, vulnerable to every storm life throws our way. The Stoics believed that true strength comes from within, a deeply rooted understanding of who we are, what we value, and how we choose to navigate the world. They taught us that we cannot control external events, but we can always control our responses. This ability to remain steady despite chaos begins with cultivating an unshakable core. In life, challenges and betrayals are inevitable. I once believed that my value was tied to how much I could please others. Every decision I made revolved around their happiness, never mine. Then one day, someone I trusted betrayed me in a way I never expected. I realized that I wasn't valued as a person, I was merely convenient for their ego. That betrayal shattered my confidence. I fell into a spiral of self-doubt, questioning whether anything I believed in was even worth holding on to. But in the depths of that crisis, I came across the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Those words forced me to confront a hard truth. My suffering wasn't just caused by the betrayal. It was also rooted in how I had allowed myself to be defined by others' perceptions. My inner self was weak, and that made me susceptible to their manipulation. Building a strong inner self is not about hardening yourself or becoming indifferent to the world. It is about creating a foundation so secure that you can stand firm no matter what happens around you. This inner strength allows you to detach from the chaos, focus on what you can control, and find clarity even in the most challenging moments. When betrayal leaves you reeling, as it did me, start with reflection. Write down your feelings, not to dwell on the pain but to understand it. Identify the ways you've placed your happiness in the hands of others. This awareness is the first step toward reclaiming your inner strength. The Stoics practiced journaling for this very reason. It creates space to examine emotions and thoughts without being consumed by them. To build a strong inner self, adopt daily practices that anchor you. Meditation, mindfulness, or even something as simple as a morning routine can help. Picture yourself as a tree. The wind may bend your branches, but your roots remain firm. Each day, ask yourself, what truly matters to me? Let the answers guide your actions and your boundaries. Over time, this foundation becomes unshakable. It empowers you to face challenges with calm and clarity, rather than fear and confusion. The betrayal I experienced taught me that a strong inner self is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Without it, we live at the mercy of external forces. But with it, we gain the courage to embrace life on our terms. As Seneca reminds us, he who is brave is free. Build your inner strength, and you will find not just freedom, but resilience, the ability to endure, adapt, and thrive no matter what comes your way. 2. Turning anxiety into action. Fear often masquerades as a wall, an impenetrable barrier standing between us and our goals. But the Stoics saw fear differently, not as an obstacle, but as a teacher. Courage, they believed, was not the absence of fear, but the resolve to act in spite of it. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Fear signals an opportunity to grow, yet so often we let it hold us back. I have always wanted to improve my health and fitness. Every day I'd think about going to the gym, but the thoughts that followed stopped me in my tracks. What if I look foolish? What if I don't know how to use the equipment? What if others laugh at me? These fears were a constant echo in my mind. Instead of confronting them, I chose the safer path. I worked out at home. But deep down, I knew it wasn't enough. Every glance in the mirror reminded me that I wasn't making real progress. The fear hadn't disappeared. It had grown, looming larger each time I avoided it. One morning, as I scrolled through my phone, I saw a close friend post a photo of himself at the gym with the caption, "6-month journey. Not easy, but worth it." A pang of jealousy hit me, but alongside it came a spark of determination. If he can do it, why can't I? That question ignited something within me. Instead of giving in to the fear, I decided to face it head on. I walked into the gym later that day, heart pounding, yet resolved. Each moment was uncomfortable, but I kept moving forward. The Stoics teach us that fear often resides in the mind rather than in reality. By anticipating challenges and preparing for them, we strip fear of its power. Seneca called this practice premeditation malorum, visualizing the worst that could happen so you can meet it with readiness and composure. Before stepping into the gym, I practiced this. I imagined myself feeling out of place, fumbling with equipment, and even being judged. But then I imagined something else, getting through it, growing stronger, and being proud of myself for trying. With every imagined failure, I also visualized a recovery. This mindset allowed me to act despite my anxiety. If you're battling fear, remember this: it's not a signal to retreat, but a nudge toward something greater. Start by breaking the fear down into manageable pieces. What exactly are you afraid of? How much of it is rooted in reality, and how much is imagined? Once you've identified the source, confront it in small steps. My first visit to the gym wasn't perfect, but it was a step, and each step after that became easier. Fear doesn't go away when ignored, it festers. But when faced, it transforms into fuel for growth. Every moment you confront your fear, you chip away at its power and replace it with courage. By seeing fear as a guide rather than a barrier, you unlock a path to resilience and self-discovery. Just as I overcame the fear of judgment, so too can you conquer the fears holding you back. Take that first step, however small, and begin the journey to freedom. 3. Finding strength in detachment. There's a quiet power in letting go. Detachment is not about abandoning responsibility or giving up on life. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of things you cannot control. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Focus only on what is within your power and let the rest slip away like water through your fingers. Epictetus famously said, "Some things are up to us and some things are not." Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. One day, as I sat in a bustling coffee shop, surrounded by the hum of conversations and the clinking of cups, I glanced at my phone. Notifications, unanswered calls, and a mountain of tasks stared back at me. The weight was suffocating. I had been carrying expectations that weren't mine, obligations that drained my energy, and fears that left me paralyzed. The realization hit like a wave. Why am I holding on to all of this when it's breaking me? In that moment, I decided to try letting go. Not out of neglect, but to reclaim the strength I had lost. At first it felt strange. I said no to invitations I didn't want to attend. I set boundaries with people who had long expected me to prioritize their needs over my own. There was guilt, even fear. But beneath those emotions, I felt a spark of something I hadn't experienced in years: relief. Detachment is not easy. When you let go, you often face loneliness. People drift away when you stop bending to their will. The silence that follows can be deafening, but in that silence lies an opportunity, a chance to rediscover yourself. I began to fill the empty spaces with meaningful activities, walks in nature, books I had always wanted to read, and moments of quiet reflection. The more I leaned into solitude, the more I realized it wasn't loneliness, it was freedom. The Stoics believed that detachment allows us to see clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When we detach from the opinions of others, the fear of failure, or the weight of obligations that aren't ours, we gain clarity. We see what truly matters and can redirect our energy toward pursuits that align with our values. Detachment also builds resilience. By stepping back, you create space to breathe, think, and respond wisely, rather than reacting impulsively. When I began this journey, I feared judgment. People noticed the changes. A friend once asked, "Why aren't you as active on social media? You seem different." I smiled and replied, "Yes, I am, and I've never felt better." That response didn't come from defensiveness, but from a deep sense of peace. If you find yourself overwhelmed by the expectations of others or the weight of responsibilities, start small. Write down what's truly within your control. Focus on those things and let the rest go. The process might feel uncomfortable at first, but with practice, it becomes a habit, a way of life. As you cultivate detachment, you'll notice a transformation. The things that once felt urgent and pressing will lose their grip on you. You'll stand stronger, guided by your values, and no longer tethered by unnecessary burdens. Remember Epictetus's wisdom. True freedom comes from mastering what lies within your power. Let go, and you'll discover a strength you never knew you had. 4. Rediscovering your purpose. After you've unburdened yourself from the weight of expectations, a new challenge emerges. What now? The silence left by letting go of old habits and relationships can feel unsettling. You begin to question, why am I doing all this? What is the real meaning of my life? This moment, while daunting, is a turning point. It's not a crisis, but an opportunity to rediscover your purpose and start living authentically. When we step away from the noise of societal expectations, we often realize how much of our lives were lived for others. Whether it's fulfilling obligations we never truly embraced or chasing goals set by someone else, the absence of these pressures can leave a void. But within this void lies a chance for clarity. As Marcus Aurelius once reflected, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Purpose isn't found in external validation. It begins with introspection. You start by reflecting on the moments that made you feel alive. Those times when joy felt effortless and real. For me, it was the quiet satisfaction of completing a project that truly mattered. The glow of helping someone without expecting anything in return, and the deep connection found in meaningful conversations. These were moments when I wasn't trying to prove anything. They weren't loud or grand. They were honest and mine. Purpose doesn't reveal itself all at once. It's a gradual unfolding. I remember sitting with a notebook, asking myself questions that demanded honesty. What do I love most about life? If no one judged me, what would I do? What makes me feel fulfilled? The answers didn't come immediately, but they began to surface over time like light breaking through a dense fog. Stoicism teaches us that living in alignment with our nature is essential for a meaningful life. As Epictetus said, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The purpose is not a singular fixed point. It evolves as we grow. What matters is not finding a grand mission overnight, but starting with small, meaningful actions that resonate with our inner values. For example, volunteering for a cause that aligns with your principles or dedicating time to learn a skill you've always wanted to master can reignite your sense of purpose. These aren't monumental leaps, they're steps, and each one builds on the last. With every action rooted in sincerity, the path becomes clearer and life begins to feel more authentic. On this journey, you'll discover that purpose isn't about perfection or arrival. It's a living, breathing process, a reflection of the person you are becoming. What you value today may change tomorrow, and that fluidity is part of the beauty. The Stoics understood this deeply, emphasizing the importance of progress over perfection. As you walk this path, you'll realize it's not about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions and allowing your actions to align with your values. In rediscovering your purpose, you find not just direction, but also fulfillment. You learn to appreciate the journey, knowing that every step, every moment of growth brings you closer to a life lived fully and meaningfully. 5. Living with integrity. Imagine this. You used to pride yourself on being an honest person, someone who valued integrity above all. But as life progressed, you found yourself compromising in small ways, telling white lies to keep the peace, agreeing to things that felt wrong just to avoid confrontation. Over time, these small sacrifices began to erode your sense of self. Then one day, a critical moment arrives. At work, your manager suggests, "We need good results. Just tweak the numbers a little. No one will check." This request feels like a crossroads. Do you protect your job and comply, or do you stand firm in your belief in honesty, knowing it may cost you? That evening, you're consumed by the weight of the decision. The thought of altering the data feels like betraying yourself, but the fear of backlash makes the alternative equally daunting. Ultimately, you choose honesty. You submit the unaltered report, knowing it might not meet expectations. The next day, you're called into a meeting. The tension in the room is palpable. Your manager criticizes your decision, yet beneath the surface of discomfort, you feel something unexpected: relief. By standing firm, you've reclaimed a part of yourself you thought was lost. In the weeks that follow, you begin to make integrity a guiding principle, not just in big decisions, but in everyday interactions. You decline insincere invitations, set boundaries against responsibilities that don't align with your abilities, and speak up when something feels wrong. Life becomes simpler and lighter, even if it's not always easy. One day, a colleague approaches you. He shares a similar dilemma he faced, but admits he couldn't find the courage to act as you did. "I admire your perseverance," he says. In that moment, you realize that living with integrity doesn't just free you from internal conflict, it inspires others to examine their own choices. From a Stoic perspective, integrity is not negotiable. It's a core virtue that aligns with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of staying true to oneself, writing, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Honesty is not just about actions, but about living in harmony with your values, even when the external world challenges you. Applying this principle doesn't mean life will always reward you immediately. As Epictetus taught, the true reward is peace of mind, the inner clarity that comes from knowing you did the right thing. In practice, this clarity simplifies decision-making. You no longer wrestle with guilt or second-guess your actions. Instead, you move forward with confidence, knowing your choices reflect who you truly are. If you face a similar challenge, start by identifying your core values. Write them down and reflect on what they mean to you. When confronted with a difficult situation, ask yourself, does this align with my principles? If it doesn't, consider the cost, not just of acting against your values, but of what it might do to your sense of self. Choosing integrity may not always lead to easy outcomes, but it leads to a life of authenticity and peace. And as you live by this principle, you'll find that the ripple effects extend beyond yourself. By standing firm, you pave the way for others to find the courage to do the same. 6. Gratitude as a game changer. Gratitude is often underestimated in its ability to transform our mindset. In a world constantly pushing us to chase more success, more recognition, more possessions, it's easy to lose sight of what we already have. This restless pursuit can lead to dissatisfaction and anxiety. Stoic philosophy reminds us that content doesn't come from acquiring more, but from appreciating what we have. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you do not have, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." This perspective shifts our focus from lack to abundance. But how do we cultivate gratitude when life feels overwhelming? The first step is recognizing that gratitude is a practice, not a spontaneous feeling. Like any skill, it requires effort and consistency to develop. Gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It's about grounding ourselves in the present and finding stability amidst the chaos of daily life. I used to live in a constant state of dissatisfaction and stress. Every day felt like a race against time. My job wasn't as fulfilling as I wanted, my relationships felt shallow, and an emptiness lingered no matter how much I achieved. I would often think, why is life so unfair when I've tried so hard? One evening, scrolling mindlessly through social media, I stumbled upon an article discussing the power of gratitude. My initial reaction was skepticism, another empty cliché, I thought. But one question stayed with me. Have I ever truly felt grateful for anything in my life? That night, I decided to test this idea. I grabbed an old notebook and challenged myself to list 3 things I was grateful for that day. At first, it felt forced. I was so used to focusing on the negatives that finding positives felt unnatural. But after a few moments, I wrote, "Thank you for the warm sunshine today. Thank you for having a job, even if it isn't perfect. Thank you for being healthy." That small exercise brought an unexpected sense of relief. For the first time in weeks, my mind felt lighter. Encouraged, I committed to this practice for a week and then a month. Over time, it changed how I viewed my life. Challenges remained, but gratitude gave me the strength to face them with a clearer, calmer perspective. Stoicism teaches us that gratitude isn't about denying struggles or hardships, but about reframing them. When we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we strengthen our emotional resilience and cultivate inner peace. Gratitude aligns with the Stoic virtue of wisdom, seeing life for what it truly is and appreciating its inherent value. If you feel stuck in negativity, start small. Each evening, list 3 things you're grateful for, no matter how trivial they seem. Gradually, this practice shifts your focus, helping you navigate stress and dissatisfaction with greater clarity. Over time, gratitude becomes a habit, grounding you in the present and fostering a deeper sense of fulfillment. Gratitude is more than a fleeting emotion. It's a deliberate practice that transforms how we experience life. By embracing this Stoic principle, we find stability amidst uncertainty, strength in adversity, and peace in the present moment. 7. Turning setbacks into opportunities. Failure has a way of shaking us to our core. It questions our abilities, challenges our resilience, and often leaves us doubting the path we chose. But what if failure wasn't the end of the road, but a critical step in the journey toward growth? Stoicism teaches us to view setbacks not as final judgments, but as opportunities to learn and adapt. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This wisdom reminds us that even our failures hold the seeds of progress. Imagine you've just started a small business, pouring your heart and soul into every detail. For months, you sacrifice sleep, invest your savings, and work tirelessly to bring your vision to life. But the results don't meet your expectations. Instead of success, you face mounting losses, disappointment, and a lingering sense of shame. You find yourself asking, why did my efforts fail? Was I not good enough? One afternoon, while clearing out the remnants of your project, you stumble upon the notebook where your original ideas were born. Flipping through the pages, you see the enthusiasm and creativity you had when you began. A thought crosses your mind. Some of these ideas still have potential. Maybe I was just looking at this the wrong way. Instead of giving in to despair, you sit down and start analyzing. You ask yourself, what didn't work? What can I salvage? What did this failure teach me? Stoicism urges us to detach ourselves from the emotional weight of failure and instead approach it with logic and clarity. Failure is not a reflection of our worth. It's a teacher, guiding us to better methods and decisions. By dissecting the situation, you recognize that a particular aspect of your project resonated with your audience. Encouraged, you decide to focus on developing that one part. This small shift in perspective is transformative. You reach out to a friend who has experience in your field, seeking advice and constructive feedback. Their insights, combined with your newfound clarity, help you refine your idea. Instead of aiming for perfection, you approach the next phase as a series of experiments, testing, learning, and adjusting along the way. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of patience and persistence. You accept that setbacks are part of the process. Each stumble brings new lessons, and each lesson brings you closer to a better version of your project. As your efforts begin to bear fruit, you find yourself wanting to share your story, not to boast, but to inspire. You talk about the initial failures, the struggles, and the invaluable lessons that led to success. This journey illustrates a fundamental Stoic principle, amor fati, or the love of fate. It's not just about accepting what happens to us, but embracing it as part of our growth. Failures are not barriers, but bridges, guiding us toward resilience and deeper understanding. For those facing setbacks, the key is to step back and reflect. Ask yourself, what did I learn? What can I do differently? How can I turn this into an opportunity? Remember, failure is not a verdict on your capabilities. It's a stepping stone toward mastery. By adopting this mindset, you'll find that every setback becomes a chapter in your story of triumph. 8. Inspiring change through quiet influence. Living a life of integrity does more than fortify your character. It becomes a beacon for others. When we align our actions with our values and live authentically, we naturally inspire those around us to reflect on their own choices. This quiet influence often speaks louder than grand speeches or overt efforts to persuade. It is through consistent, values-driven actions that we create ripples of change, fostering a community grounded in honesty, resilience, and mutual respect. Stoicism underscores the importance of leading by example. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This philosophy suggests that true leadership is not about telling others what to do, but showing them through your own behavior. By embodying virtues such as courage, justice, and integrity, you not only strengthen your inner self, but also encourage those around you to rise to their own potential. Think back to the moment in your journey when you chose to share your story about turning setbacks into opportunities. Perhaps you stood in front of a small group of peers, recounting the challenges you faced and how you reframed them into lessons. You might have felt nervous, wondering if anyone would care. Yet as you spoke, you noticed their expressions change. A colleague later approached you, saying, "Your story really resonated with me. I've been feeling stuck, but now I want to try again." This interaction is a testament to the power of quiet influence. Your decision to persevere, analyze your mistakes, and find a better path didn't just transform your own life, it became a catalyst for someone else's growth. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control others' reactions, we can control the example we set. By living with intention and resilience, we permit others to do the same. In a world dominated by social media and curated personas, authenticity stands out. People are drawn to those who live sincerely, unafraid to admit their flaws or share their struggles. Your willingness to be vulnerable, whether in sharing your failures or standing firm in your values, creates a space for others to reflect on their own lives without judgment. It is a subtle but profound way of building a community centered on growth and mutual understanding. The ripple effect of your actions may extend further than you imagine. A single act of integrity, like refusing to compromise your principles at work, can inspire a colleague to rethink their own choices. A story of overcoming failure might encourage someone to take the first step toward their dreams. These small but significant influences build momentum, gradually shaping a culture of resilience and authenticity. Living with integrity and inspiring change does not require grand gestures. It begins with small, consistent acts, showing kindness in difficult situations, standing by your principles, or simply listening without judgment. Each action reinforces your values and sets an example for others to follow. As you continue this journey, remember that true influence lies not in commanding attention, but in earning respect through authenticity. Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control how others respond, but we can control the life we lead. By doing so, we create a legacy not just of personal growth, but of communal strength. Through quiet influence, we transform not only ourselves, but also the world around us. As we come to the end of this journey together, let us reflect on the profound truths we've uncovered. Building a strong inner self, embracing courage, and living with integrity are not just ideals, but daily practices. They are the foundation of resilience, the path to emotional clarity, and the key to finding peace amidst chaos. These lessons from Stoic philosophy remind us that we have the power to navigate life's storms with grace and purpose. Each moment of our lives presents an opportunity to practice these principles. Whether it's facing fear head-on, rediscovering our purpose, or finding strength in letting go of what no longer serves us, the choice is always ours. It is not about perfection, but progress, taking one small step each day toward becoming the best version of ourselves. Imagine what your life could look like if you started applying even one of these lessons today. Picture the calm that comes from focusing only on what you can control, the clarity of knowing your values, and the strength of standing firm in them. These are not just abstract concepts, they are tools for living a life filled with meaning and fulfillment. I encourage you to practice these lessons daily. Write down what you're grateful for, take take time to reflect on your values and let go of distractions that pull you away from your true purpose. Growth begins with small, consistent actions, and over time, these actions will transform your life. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you faced moments where Stoic principles have guided you? Or perhaps you've been inspired to make a change after hearing today's lessons? Share your stories in the comments below. Your experiences may be the inspiration someone else needs to take their first step. Let's grow stronger together.